Hello, and welcome back to the Let Me Add to That podcast. My name is Elizabeth Graswich, Executive Director of Public Affairs and Communications at the Los Angeles County Office of Education. We are the largest regional education agency in the United States. We serve 80 school districts and nearly 2 million children. We are excited to use this platform to take a deep dive into the conversations surrounding our students and schools in LA County. Welcome back. Today we are focused on nutrition in our schools, and we have two very special guests with us. First, I'd like to welcome Maryam Shayegh, LACOE's Nutrition and Wellness Coordinator. Thanks for being here, Maryam.
Thank you so much for having me.
We are joined also by one of our incredible LA County students, Samuel Sherwood from Glendale Unified School District. Samuel is a nutrition and wellness advocate. He recently presented to our Los Angeles County Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Deborah Duardo, about food insecurity, school lunches, and food allergies. Samuel, let's start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about your presentation and what got you interested in this topic?
This all started as a community service project for my bar mitzvah, which was last year. My Torah portion for my bar mitzvah was about when the Jews were wandering the desert for 40 years and only had this weird food called manna to eat, which was provided by God. And I thought, what if someone was allergic to it? What would they have done? I originally wanted to feed the homeless for this project, but that didn't really relate to me much. And so I wanted this project to relate to me more. So I combined that with my own experience with food allergies. And the result was a project that advocates for food insecure children in schools who have allergies.
That's awesome. So just kind of start out with how important nutrition is. I'm going to turn it over to you, Maryam. And if you can tell us a little bit about what role nutrition plays in the overall development and performance of students.
Sure. Nutrition plays a significant role in student health that extends beyond physical to impact social, emotional, and mental well-being. Scientific research has demonstrated, and it's been long established, that there's a direct link between proper nutrition and cognitive function, with essential nutrients and antioxidants that support our memory, focus, and learning abilities. One example of this is how essential amino acids are used in the synthesis of neurotransmitters, which are crucial for brain function, for mood regulation, and stress management. These are important factors that contribute to academic success. We know when students consume a balanced meal that includes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and healthy sources of protein, they can sustain energy levels to support their attentiveness and their engagement during school hours and beyond. And beyond that, now more than ever than before, we have more information about brain and gut connection. And you may have heard about gut being referred to as our second brain. Because the food we eat not only impacts our digestion, but it impacts our mood, our mental health, and overall well-being. But what has been long established is that proper nutrition and food security are also associated with increased health, decreased chronic illness, increased attendance, increased attention span and concentration, increased cognition and cognitive processing speed, retention of information that we learn in school, increased academic achievement, and higher standardized academic test scores, and decreased anxiety and depression.
So we all hear a lot about nutrition and school lunches. I think we all have our own memories of school lunches, which were very different for many of us than they are today. What is the current state of nutrition in schools? And are there any notable progress being made or challenges related to it?
Certainly. And Liz, I just have to add that when you just mentioned about your memories of school, a big smile came to your face. And that's how powerful food can be. So we've seen significant progress, specifically in California, with initiatives like the California Universal Meal Program. The California Universal Meal Program ensures that all students have access to a nutritiously adequate breakfast and lunch each school day, and that's regardless of their economic background. This not only promotes equitable access to school meals, but also helps to eliminate the stigma that was typically associated with free and reduced price meals. Another program that started in response to COVID and recently became a permanent nationwide program is the Summer EBT. The Summer EBT program addresses the gap during the summer breaks by automatically issuing food benefits to students, which is a very crucial step to combat food insecurity when schools are closed. This is a valuable resource that we want eligible families to know about. They don't need to apply for pandemic EBT, but they need to be sure to complete a school meal application that will automatically qualify their students for pandemic EBT if they are determined to be eligible for free and reduced price meals. And there have been numerous other investments that have been made at the state and federal level to improve the quality of meals. One example of this is the kitchen infrastructure and training funds that were issued to school districts last year and made it possible to purchase equipment and provide training to nutrition services staff to improve the school's capacity to serve more freshly prepared meals. And there's been significant investments in farm to school programs, more than we've ever seen before, that make it possible to integrate food-based education and improve access to healthy food through local food procurement. But if I can just add that despite these strides that we've made throughout the state and the nation, there continues to be some notable challenges. School food operators are still dealing with supply chain disruptions, staffing issues, and increased overall food costs due to inflation. It is important to know that our nutrition services departments operate independently and rely on the reimbursement they receive for meals that are served to students to pay for their expenses. So even though reimbursement rates were adjusted recently for inflation, they are still lower than last year's rates due to the expiration of many COVID-related waivers. So this is why it's really important that we try to balance these demands with, ongoing communication and collaboration between nutrition services professionals, our school administrators, educators, policymakers, and the school community to identify the proper support needed to address student needs.
Thank you. Now, Samuel, as part of your presentation that you provided, you talked about food insecurity. So tell us a little bit about what you shared, what you learned about it.
So I like to define food insecurity as a lack of resources that you need to get meals for yourself. To obtain food, what do you need? Money. Many families in Southern California tend to be on the poorer side and have less money for food, which causes them to wonder when, where, and how will I get my next meal, which is really the definition of food insecurity. Many people consider food insecurity to be very similar to hunger, which really isn't true, because I think of hunger as the feeling of needing food, whereas food insecurity is the inability to obtain it. It's also more common than you'd probably think. About 1 in 5 Californians are food insecure, about 8.4 million people.
And, Maryam, so you work, as you were talking about food insecurity at the school level. And so, how prevalent is it? And what are some of the strategies that you're seeing our schools in LA County use to help?
Yeah, I just want to thank Samuel for using the proper definition of food insecurity. And he already shared some great statistics, that are available to us in the state of California. If I could add that another important term that we need to focus on and promote is nutrition security. So according to the USDA, nutrition security means that all Americans have consistent and equitable access to healthy, safe, and affordable food that is essential for optimal health and well-being. So it's not just enough to provide food that may be of lesser nutritional quality that can increase the risk of diet-related chronic diseases, which is so prevalent today, but ensure that our students and families have equitable access to healthy food to optimize their health. So unfortunately, as Samuel mentioned, food insecurity is still a significant issue throughout the state and specifically in LA County. The findings from a recent study led by Dr. Delahaye at USC revealed that 1 in 4 people in LA County experience food insecurity. In LA County, as you know, Liz, 7 out of 10 students are socioeconomically disadvantaged, which puts them at greater risk of experiencing food insecurity. And unfortunately, there's a lot of disparities when it comes to food and nutrition security. And this is where schools can actually play a critical role by providing targeted support and outreach to students and families who may be at greater risk of experiencing food insecurity, which include households that live below the federal poverty line and households led by single mothers, Black and Latino households, and households with young children. current concern right now is that many of the COVID-related provisions ended, and we are expecting to see even higher rates of food insecurity. So there are opportunities for us to address some of these challenges in our schools. I mentioned the California Universal Meal Program. Now that we have this unique opportunity in California to provide free meals to all students, we need to make sure that we're doing everything possible to maximize student participation. One of the mantras that's used in school nutrition programs is that it's not nutrition until it's eaten. And there's a variety of evidence-based practices to improve access and consumption of school meals. One important one is to make sure we're establishing a positive school nutrition environment that is safe, welcoming, and inclusive, where all students are encouraged and actually look forward to participation in the meal program. Once meals are provided to students, can we ensure that they have adequate time to eat? But we're trying to offer more healthy food options and healthy foods such as fruits and vegetables, but we all know that that takes longer to eat. And a study from Harvard School of Public Health shows that students that have more time to eat lunch, they actually have reduced food waste. And there's a decrease in vegetable waste and also milk waste. And also thinking about the social emotional aspect of eating. School meal times are important for developing relationships and social and emotional skills. So students can practice SEL competencies, and schools can improve student learning, safety, and well-being by providing adequate time and space for meal times to support social and emotional development.
Samuel, you were nodding your head as Maryam was talking about the importance of mealtime in terms of, kids and students, talking and enjoying their time together. Have you found that to be an important time to spend time with your friends and have a little bit of relaxing time during the day?
Yeah, during middle school, I didn't have a huge amount of friends, and a lot of them weren't in any of my classes. So I had to get to different breaks. So we had like snack and lunch and after school or whatever, and we'd play sports outside, we'd eat together, and it was always great fun. And then it's even more important in high school because I'm starting that in 2 days. And one of my best friends from middle school, I don't have any classes with him. And so the only times I'll see him are between classes. So I just think it's really important if we want to keep up our relationship.
And we all know how important those relationships are to engagement and the well-being at school. So it is a great moment in which you can catch up with people, talk about classes, talk about what you're doing after school, and just get a little bit of a mental break during your day. So, the next topic we're talking about is food allergies that you also did some research on, Samuel. We recently joined a press conference in which we talked about a bill, Zacky's bill. So you want to tell us a little bit about Zacky's bill?
Zacky's bill was a bill that was signed last year by Governor Newsom in September of 2022. It was started by a young boy named Zacky who lives in Pasadena, who, like me, also has life-threatening food allergies. It created a website that details how to be safe in school if you have severe food allergies. For example, it tells you how to use an epinephrine injector, also called an EpiPen, how to obtain a safe lunch, how to recognize if someone's having a reaction, etc. You can find this website as it's part of the California State Department of Education website.
And one of the things I love about Zacky's bill is it shows the importance of student voice, right? And just like you, Samuel, Zacky, spoke out and raised concerns about what was going on, and he got the attention of people who were able to write a bill, and we love that, right? It's so important that students share what's going on in schools and seek help and let us know what's going on. So thank you to you for your efforts there. As we're on the topic of food allergies, I want to turn it back to Maryam. And, in terms of how schools can help effectively manage the intersection of addressing all the diverse needs of nutrition for students that include food allergies, but, also making sure that you're providing, a variety of meal options that, kids want to eat. So talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's a great way to emphasize the important role that our nutrition services departments and nutrition professionals play in ensuring the safety and health of our students. It's truly challenging to navigate the intricate web of responsibilities that come with planning, serving meals to a diverse student population, especially in LA County, especially when you have to operate on such a tight budget while adhering to a complex set of federal and state requirements and nutrition standards, while you're dealing with staffing issues and supply chain issues. So it's very complicated. But addressing the diverse nutritional needs and dietary preferences of students and students with allergies, it takes time, it takes commitment, resources, ongoing communication, and staff training. This starts with having up-to-date policies and procedures that can be communicated with parents and guardians to know how they can request reasonable modifications for their students. Each student is unique, and we want to make sure that the food allergies, it's handled on a case-by-case basis to ensure that we're addressing the needs of each child appropriately. Many of our school nutrition programs have dietitians on staff, or they consult with nutrition experts to make reasonable accommodations for students with allergies. But again, that ongoing communication and training for staff is going to be so important to ensure proper implementation of policies and procedures, that we're not really missing any of our students by not properly addressing their needs. So we want to make sure that, there's proper communication between parents, students, and also nutrition services staff and other school staff. So everyone is aware of the options that are available and can take the necessary precautions to ensure safety and health of our students.
And, are there innovative approaches that you're seeing out in the schools in terms of adopting or improving the availability of nutritious food options for students?
Certainly, with the programs that I mentioned earlier, but schools could really establish and promote more of the student voice. I think we're seeing a great best practice here with Samuel taking the lead and advocating not just for himself, but for his peers. But schools can establish and promote student-led nutrition committees that can empower more students to voice their preferences and their needs and ensure that, their diverse tastes are considered during the menu planning process. And with the new funding that's been made available, schools are partnering with local farms and community gardens, or they're even starting school gardens to promote fresh, locally grown produce while building a greater sense of community and increasing awareness of our local food system. So, and technology is also another great tool that we have to be able to market school meals to students and families, and also establish a mechanism that allows more students like Samuel to provide feedback to inform program improvements, because, students are our most important clients. And by centering students in this process, we can not only increase our chances of improving the consumption of healthy foods, but also cultivating a culture of wellness and inclusivity that resonates with the entire school community.
And I'm so glad you brought up school gardens. They're probably one of my favorite things I see at schools, because they are not only are they promoting like healthy food, but there's like so many different curriculums that can kind of tie in. I mean, I've seen teachers do like reading in the garden and like writing poems, and there's science components. They're very, very cool. I don't know if there's any that you can speak to, or you've seen innovative things there, or any tips you can share around that.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up, Liz, because, there is such a remarkable and transformative potential in using food as an educational tool. Feel so strongly about this because, LACOE was in charge of implementing countywide comprehensive nutrition education programming that many of our districts were able to take advantage of. And when we were going into schools and providing comprehensive nutrition education training, this sentiment was also echoed by numerous of teachers, who participated in the food literacy program, which was led by LACOE. And these teachers were genuinely amazed that, by using food as a nutrition education tool, they were not only increasing the exposure to a variety of fruits and vegetables that they were featuring in the classroom, but they were amazed that some of their fifth grade students had never tasted a fresh tomato before. Or maybe they were experiencing for the first time tasting kiwi with their students. using food in education provides such a great platform for students to engage in healthy behaviors, but it also makes teaching so much more fun for the classroom teacher. There's no, of course, I'm going to sound very biased here, but there's no better way to engage with students than through food. And it's such a rare tool that has the power to captivate all of our five senses and, make that learning even, more effective.
You're so right. I mean, food brings people together in so many ways. And while I'm on the topic of bringing people together, one of the areas is partners, right? Partners in this area. And can you elaborate on how partners can help generate interest and enthusiasm for school meal programs while encouraging healthy eating habits? What can other people do to help?
So promoting nutrition is a shared responsibility. It's important to keep in mind that we all have the same goal here to ensure that every single student in LA County is healthy, safe, and they have the proper resources and the knowledge and the skills to live a long and healthy life. So when we say whole school, whole community, whole child, it really implies that everyone plays a critical role in ensuring the health and safety of our students. So creating a thriving school meal program that champions healthy eating and engages students requires a collective effort that goes beyond nutrition services. So we want to get everybody involved. We want teachers, like you said, to be able to integrate nutrition into their curriculum. Using, garden-based nutrition education, fostering awareness and enthusiasm with using unconventional tools like, food to promote learning. Nurses and counselors can provide expert insights on students' nutritional needs and also supporting participation in the meal program. Administrators can also highlight the importance of school meals and allocating proper resources and encouraging participation. One example of this is changing policies and systems. Samuel mentioned how important was that socialization aspect of meal times by moving recess before lunch. That could also encourage more participation and increase consumption of school meals. And of course, support staff, because our custodial staff, they can all contribute to a clean, safe, and healthy school and nutrition environment. So again, this is a collaborative approach that every school community can be a catalyst for ensuring the proper healthy habits of our students.
Awesome. And finally, this question is for both of you. Can you each share some of your best practices for districts and schools that are looking to actively engage both parents and students to foster increased participation and gather feedback to drive improvements in school meal programs? And Samuel, I'll start with you.
So I think that there's a lot of different things that schools can do to help these kids. Schools should have posters in hallways and cafeterias that tell kids how to get a safe meal if they need one. When parents drop off an EpiPen at a school, the school should give parents an automatic explanation on how to get their child a safe meal. The same goes for when parents turn in paperwork that explains the allergy. When schools hand out cafeteria menus, they should also have notices that you are entitled to a safe school lunch and how to get one. Teachers who are surveying the school lunch areas can also look for kids who aren't eating, and if they see one, they can ask why, and that could help get a hungry child a meal. And school websites should also point to instructions on getting a safe lunch, which they've already started doing.
Awesome. And Maryam?
I would love to highlight Samuel's approach to raise awareness about the critical issues of food insecurity and food allergies as a best practice. Samuel took the time to educate himself about what his school policies on accommodating the needs of students with food allergies. Then he reached out to the nutrition services director at his school district to share his findings, share his concerns, and provide some ideas about how to make improvements. And this would benefit not just Samuel, but his peers. And another opportunity that other students have is to find out what their school district's local school wellness policies are. All school districts that participate in the National School Lunch Program, they're required to have a set of policies. And usually there is a wellness committee that is established to oversee the implementation of these policies. So effective wellness policies also contribute to building a culture of health within a school community by ensuring that a set of policies and practices are being implemented and making the healthy choices for students an easy choice.
Well, I want to thank both of you for joining us today. Maryam, for all the work you do to support our 80 school districts and also advocate at a state and national level related to food, nutrition, and wellness for our students. And Samuel, thank you so much for bringing this important topic up and to our attention and being a wonderful voice.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And then finally, before we close, I do want to give a shout out and huge thanks to all the food nutritionists and food workers who are in our schools. They, we saw how hard they worked during the pandemic. They were out there, they were serving meals, but that's what they do every day in our schools. And so just an enormous thanks to them for everything they do. And thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time on Let Me Add to That.
Please follow the Los Angeles County Office of Education on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Los Angeles COE. That's Los Angeles COE. Or you can find us on Facebook and LinkedIn at Los Angeles County Office of Education.